Okay, chapter 7, section 5 is applying the tangent ratio. And this is where our calculator comes in. The calculator that you are seeing in front of you, if you don't have one, is one I highly recommend. It comes in a million different colors. It's very colorful. What you're most going to look for here is that in the corner it says TI30X2S. I bought one on Amazon today for $11. Like I bought a brand new one for $11 and it's going to be shipped to me tomorrow. You can find these at Target. You can find them at Walmart, but you have to know what you're looking for there. Now, granted, a lot of calculators will work. You'll need a scientific calculator. You'll need a graphing calculator. Those little ones you have in your drawer are the ones that like just add, subtract, multiply, and divide. They will not work. Like a generic like calculator that most people have that they got at some like school fair are not going to work for this. Now, let me show you. There's another one that is gray, and it's the one I like the least. And it is, hold on one second. The other one, and I'm going to put a picture of this up there so you can see, if you're going to get one, here's one that it works just as well, but everything when you input it is backwards. So I'm going to show you what this one looks like, and this is one that I don't recommend. It's just way harder to use for some, there's nothing wrong with it. Nobody knows what to get, like it's calculators, you know? So this is the one that I would not recommend right here. So I would not recommend that one, and I'll explain why in just a minute. Here, let me give you a calculator back. It'll perfectly work. It does everything just like the other one does, but for some reason you have to enter all the buttons in like the reverse order. So if you want to get one like this, they're about, I mean, if you're paying more than $20 for this like pink one there, again, it comes in different colors. Don't look for color when you're looking for it. It comes in pink, it comes in lime green, mostly it comes in blue, but this is one that is like great. It'll work in most science classes. You're gonna need an upgrade for it though when you go to Algebra 2. So like Algebra 2, they're gonna use a graphing calculator. Those are in the hundreds of dollars. I say just wait. So in terms of using them, I'm going to show you a lot of things on this calculator. If you have your calculator today and you have the same model, great, but a lot of the things are going to be exactly the same today. So I'm going to show you how to use your calculator. Today's lesson I'm going to break up over 2 days. If we can get through it today, great, but we're going to do it kind of over 2 days. Okay, so we're talking about trigonometric ratios. Trigonometric ratios, a ratio is just when we set numbers up as a fraction. So when you say a ratio, when we're talking about that, it just means that two numbers are being set up as a fraction. So we're going to take something that when we're talking about this trig here, when we talk about trigonometry, things are going to be set up with a fraction. A trigonometric ratio is a ratio of the lengths of two sides of a right triangle, meaning you're going to take a right triangle and you're going to take two of the sides of the triangles and set them up in a fraction in a very particular way. So it's not just any way. When we talk about a trigonometric ratio, we're just talking about what did you do? You took two sides of a triangle and you put them in a fraction, and we'll talk about why, which ones you choose and how you do them in a minute. And it is used to find the measure of a side or of an acute angle in a right triangle. So this will help us find the angles and it'll help us find the missing sides. So we can find sides and we can find angles with this. So if we only have one angle, but we have some side information, this is going to help us do it. So there's lots of stuff going on here. So I'm going to be teaching you how to do things manually and things on your calculator as well. So again, if you don't have your calculator now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to come back to this video at some point and like go, okay, well, I didn't have my calculator, then I need to watch what was going on. If you do have your calculator, you're going to want to try things along with me. Okay, the first thing that we're going to talk about is called tangent. So we're going to be talking about the tangent ratio, and from this point on, you're going to hear me talk about tangent a whole lot. Tangent is something that you're going to hear so much. So it says, let triangle ABC be a right triangle with acute angle A. It just means like, look, here's a right triangle and A is an acute angle. So a right triangle and it has an acute angle, that's A. B would also be an acute angle. The tangent of A, and we write it like this. If we write tan A, it means in English that we are taking the tangent of A, and I will explain what that tangent means in just a second. But when you see tan A, it means the tangent of angle A. So notice here, right here, if we want to figure out what the tangent of angle A is, I like to explain it like this. I want you to pretend that this is a triangular room. And since we're talking about angle A, I want you to go stand in the corner at angle A. because that's the one we're talking about. So you're in this triangular room, and you're standing in the corner there looking out at the rest of the room. And it says, to figure out the tangent of angle A, I want you to do the length of the leg that is opposite of A. So the one that is opposite, notice here is the leg that is on the opposite side, which is A, over, so here's our fraction, over the length of the leg that is adjacent to A. So notice there are actually two things that are adjacent to A. This one and this one. But only one of those is going to work. Which one of those two things meets the description and why? Because like if you said what's adjacent to A, I'd be like, well, B and C are adjacent to A. However, it didn't just say something adjacent to A. What did it say, Marcel?
Leg.
It's a leg. Now look at B and C. One of those is the hypotenuse and one of them is a leg. Which one is the leg? B is the leg. So the only one that is adjacent, the only leg that is adjacent is B. So when we are talking about this, we get the tangent of angle A is equal to A over B. Now when we start doing this, we're going to have actual numbers there. So let's say that this was 3 and 4. I would say that the tangent of angle A, now remember, the tangent of angle A is the opposite leg over the adjacent leg. So the opposite leg is right here. That's 3. The adjacent leg is 4. So the tangent of angle A is equal to 3/4. That's something we can do without a calculator. Now, I'm going to give you a little secret here, and this secret's going to get bigger over the next couple days. I want you to remember this. TOA. If you don't write this down, you're going to regret this in a couple days when I show you the next part, and I tell you now you're going to have to go back to the video. I want you to write down TOA, T-O-A. And what it stands for is that the tangent is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. TOA. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Now, I'm going to tell you that this little 3-letter thing is going to get bigger over the next couple days. But right now, if you forget what tangent is, it's the opposite over adjacent. TOA. T-O-A. So far, so good?
Yes.
Okay. So we haven't involved the calculator yet. Right now, we're just saying the tangent of angle A is, and I go, well, what is the tangent of angle A? I had to look, well, what's the opposite leg and what's the adjacent leg? The opposite leg over the adjacent. Okay. They want us to express tan R. Now remember, tan R means the tangent of angle R. It just means go stand in the corner at angle R. Basically, I'm going to put myself right here. And what did that TOA stand for? Remember, tangent is equal to what? Opposite over adjacent. So the tangent of angle R as a ratio, meaning that we are going to set this up in a fraction, is what? 3 over 8, or 3/8. Now, if that fraction could be reduced, you should reduce it. Just like all fractions, if that could. Now, this cannot, right? If that was 4/8, we could reduce it. It's not, it's 3/8. Now, the tangent of angle S is something different. How do you think that this differs based on that explanation that I gave you? Look what I did for tangent of angle R. What do you think I'm going to do when I do tangent of angle S? Go put yourself in the corner at angle S right there. And now look, the wall that is opposite from you, the wall of this like 3-walled apartment that is opposite from you is over here. So it's changed. So opposite over adjacent. What is adjacent to angle S? Which number? Sorry. Yes, side ST, which is 3. So the tangent of angle R is 3/8. It's the opposite over the adjacent. But the tangent of angle S is 8/3. It is the opposite over the adjacent as well. But what is opposite from each angle depends. Well, where am I standing? If I'm standing over here, then this side is opposite from me. If I'm standing over here, well, then that side is opposite from me. So this is called the tangent. It is a relationship between the sides of the triangles. And at first, you might be like, why are we doing this? It's a valid question that I need you to kind of hold on to because we're going to use this in a much bigger way. And all of a sudden, we're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can figure out so much about a triangle just based on tangent. This is our first trig function we're going to talk about. This is part of trigonometry. By the way, without what we are doing right now, there would not be any Google Maps. What Google Maps does is use trigonometry to find your location. So I can't explain it yet until we do some more math as to how it works. But I can tell you right now, if you use Google Maps, use Apple Maps, use any sort of digital map system like some sort of GPS, and it's got a map there, this is how it is moving you around. So a lot of times people go, this is so dumb, why do we learn this all? You go, you don't have to. But guess what? Some engineer at Google is taking all of their geometry information and they're making money making digital map systems for them. And you know how, like think about Google Maps. Like, how many people use Google Maps? Like, almost everybody, right? Like, even if you don't use it all the time, you know what it is. You know, like, it's as big as Netflix. You know what I mean? It's huge. That being said, somebody's making some money off it. Kayla, you had a question?
Yeah, can you find, like, the tangent for the hypotenuse?
So the better question is, let me change your question here. Can you find the tangent for angle T? And the answer is no. You cannot use this on anything but acute angles. It has to be the acute angles. We can only use this on acute angles of a right triangle. So notice that I only use it on S and use it on T. Here's why it's a problem. If I go stand in the corner at angle T, across from me is not an opposite side, that's the hypotenuse. And you're going to see that we're actually going to use the hypotenuse for something else in a minute. So we only do this for acute angles. Okay, here is where your calculator comes in. So if you have that same calculator that I showed you, or one like it, you could even use your phone if you've got it. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you have an iPhone, I'm not even going to teach you how to use it on there because you can't use that on a quiz or a test. And it actually, again, iPhones do things backwards, like that weird calculator that I told you, that you have to type everything in the reverse order. So I'm not even going to bother going down that road because that's not even something people would use for this. So I am going to go and I'm going to take a picture of my calculator first of all and bring it in on the screen because I don't know if I can do live video on here at the same time. So because I want it in the video as well. I want to show this while I'm doing it. So let me just bring in a picture and hang on. Use photo. Okay, so I'm bringing in this calculator. I'm going to do some zooming in on it because if you have a calculator that is a scientific calculator, you should have all the same buttons that I do, and it's going to take a minute to find them. So if you have the same calculator, your buttons will be in the same place. So it says, using a calculator to find the tangent of 45 degrees. First thing we're going to do is we're going to turn our calculator on, and that button obviously is right here, the one that says on. So down there. So if you've got this calculator, you're going to turn it on. Now what I want you to do is when you turn it on, I need you to make sure that your calculator, right around here, if you have this one, says DEG. If it says DEG right there, what that tells me is that your calculator is in degree mode. It knows that we're talking about degrees of things. Like, how many degrees are you talking about? If it says something else there, we're going to need to correct yours. I can help you with that. If you're using one of the calculators that I'm talking about, if you've got like things like a Casio, there's nothing wrong with a Casio. I just have no idea how to use that, and I'm going to send you to Google to figure it out. I'm not going to sit there and learn a new calculator. I know how to use this one, and I'll gladly give you the knowledge that I have. So for $12, I think it's a great investment for you that I can be your tech support. So make sure that it says DEG. If for some reason it didn't say DEG, you would just push this button right here to change it to degrees. Okay, now they want us to figure out the tangent of 45 degrees using our calculator. Notice that there on your calculator is a button that says tan. I'm going to push that tan button. I want you to push it too if you've got it, and you should have something that your calculator looks like this. I'm going to draw right on my calculator. Your calculator should suddenly look like this, tan like that, and you have like a cursor waiting for you right there. Now, it's waiting for you to say the tangent of how many degrees. By the way, your calculator is so smart that it knows every right triangle in the world. It knows every single 1 million, infinite billions of types of right triangles in the world. It's just waiting for you to say, you tell me what angle, I will tell you what the tangent is. It'll compare the two sides. So you and I are going to type 45 degrees in there. And for good measure, you are going to close those parentheses. And closing them happens right here. Let me just change that to yellow. That's this one right there. You close that parentheses, and then you're going to hit enter. So do that and tell me what you get. 1. So whether you have 1 or 1.0, they're the same numbers. Now, let me just show you something here. Let me explain to you why the tangent of 45 degrees is 1, okay? Check this out. I'm going to prove to you that you actually knew this without a calculator. You just didn't know what you were doing yet. Okay. Let's say that I've got a triangle that looks like this. That's a right triangle, right? It has 45 degrees in the corner, yeah? What is the missing angle there? 45. Okay, check it out. I'm just going to make up a number here for this. I'm going to say that this is 5. Okay? What is the other side?
5.
This is 5. What is the hypotenuse?
5 squared.
Okay, so you knew all this, 5 square root of 2. You knew that because of yesterday's lesson. Now, what we asked the calculator to do is say, hey, calculator, find the tangent of 45 degrees. So what I'm doing is, you go stand in a corner that has 45 degrees. I don't care which one. Pick one. I'm going to pick this one because I'm going to go right there. And I know that the tangent is the opposite side over the adjacent side. So we get the opposite side over the adjacent side. What is 5 over 5? Now think about this. Let's say it wasn't 5. Let's say I changed it to 7. Then what would be on the left? And what's 7 over 7? So no matter what we used, it was going to end up being 1. Your calculator knows this, and it's going to find that for you. Yes, ma'am?
So I understand like the formula and stuff like that, and like, but what exactly is the tangent? Like, what are we measuring?
What it's doing is comparing two sides, and what we're going to be able to do with this soon is that we're going to be able to take this information and find all sorts of missing information. You're going to be able to find missing angles. You're going to be able to find missing sides. You're going to eventually, I'm telling you, you may not believe me at first, you will prefer this to Pythagorean theorem any day of the week.
So this is basically, so the tangent is just like the difference in length.
It's comparing two sides. So like, it's like, for example, I might do like a comparison of two people's age. Like I am 41. One of you might be 16. That's a comparison of our ages there. My age over your age. That's a comparison of our ages right there. It is a ratio of our ages, where this is a ratio of the side. So obviously that's not with a triangle. Yes, sir. Sorry? Let me get there because we haven't gotten into the cool stuff yet. So like you can use this for everything. I use these, by the way. When we get there, when we get to the point, I will show you how on Transfig, a lot of the construction that I do, I use this to figure out how long my wood needs to be. Like when I cut it, like in my garage, I use these formulas to figure out how much it needs to be. Okay, now let's do the tangent of 36 degrees. So in the corner here where it says clear, you're just going to clear that out. So you clear everything off your screen, and we're going to do the same thing and do the tangent of 36 degrees, and then hit enter when you're done, and then tell me what you get. 0.7265428. Now, you are going to be asked to find the tangent of things come your test Thursday. But the good news is that some of the things, when you find them, this is why you need a calculator. Because I'm going to ask you for like the tangent of 36 degrees, and you're going to get this number, and I'm going to say round that to the nearest tenth, or round that to the nearest hundredth. What would this be rounded to the nearest tenth? 0.7. What would it be rounded to the nearest hundredth?
0.73.
0.73. Just understand that all we're doing is rounding that number. Okay. Now, here's the thing. This is asking for something different. It's saying the tangent of what angle? It's saying of how many degrees would equal 2.4751. This is something totally different that we have to do. It's saying what angle would have a tangent of 2.4751. And it's saying what would that angle be? Now we cannot use the same button because we basically need to go backwards, right? Like we need to go right here. Like if we said the tangent of what angle would equal 1? What angle would that be that has a tangent that equals 1?
45.
It would be 45. So there's a way to actually find the angle as well. Now I want you to look on your calculator at tangent and look directly above it in the yellow kind of letters there. Do you see where it says like tangent to the negative first power?
Yes.
Okay, this tangent to the negative first power is never said that way. We call this the inverse tangent.
I don't have a tan H.
Do you have like the?
Yeah, I have tan
Do you have in?
Okay, well, let me deal with, if you have a different calculator, I'm going to have to help you find it on whatever later. What are you using?
The iPad.
Okay, so I'm not going to deal with like, and I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just not going to show you iPads or iPhones or even Android devices because for that, you're not going to get to use that anyway. So
Okay.
These are the things you want to check out. You can always come back to this if you use it. So what we're going to look for is this inverse tangent right here. And what this does here is this says, this is going to help us find the angle. And it basically looks like this. It says, if we are looking for the tangent of what angle equals, what was the number we were looking for? 2.4, what were the rest of the numbers? 4751? We need to rearrange this. And basically, like, if we're looking for the tangent of what angle, we're going to do the inverse tangent of this number right here, 2.4751. And what that will equal is what angle has that as a tangent. So I'll go to your calculator. Now, here's the thing. You can't just push that button. That's not a button there, right? That inverse tangent. But notice that on mine, it's kind of yellow, right? It's yellow. Look up in the upper left-hand corner. See that yellow button? Since my letters are in yellow and I want the yellow thing, I'm going to go ahead and push this second. And it allows me to get to that second feature of that button. And now I push the same tangent button. And now, after you do that, you should see this. Let me erase this here. After you hit the second button in tangent, it should look like this. Yes? Is everybody who has a calculator there?
Yeah.
Now it's asking us, well, what, like, they're going, well, what is the tangent? What is the tangent that you found? And we're going to put in that number. So we're going to type in 2.4751 and close that parentheses there. 2.4751 and close the parentheses. After you hit that, I want you to the nearest degree, round it to the nearest degree, tell me how many degrees.
68.
Right, so your calculator is going to give you something back like this, 68.00011057, which I think we can all agree is very close to 68 degrees. Yes, we all agree that? So what this means is that the angle that has a tangent of 2.4751 is 68 degrees. And to test it, I'm actually just to say, to prove my point, I'm going to go back to my calculator and clear it out. And now I want you to go, well, let me just check that. Let me figure out what the tangent of 68 degrees is. Now go to your calculator and ask it to find the tangent of 68 degrees. Not the inverse tangent, the tangent. And tell me what you get. 2.4751. You see how they're backwards operations of each other? If you already know the tangent, if you already know what that would equal, that ratio, then it'll work backwards to find the angle. So I want you to do the same thing for D. You're going to need the inverse tangent here because it's already saying what angle would have a tangent of 0.8098. So you're definitely going to need your inverse tangent button on this. So inverse tangent of 0.8098. Close your parentheses and hit enter and tell me how many degrees to the nearest degree that would be. 39 degrees. So if you don't have a calculator, you're going to have to take our words that this is what's coming up there. But that's why I put those pictures in there, because if you forget how to do this when you go home, just come back to the video and come to this and go, well, what did he do on his calculator here? I'm showing you exactly what I'm doing. At some points, we are going to have to use our calculator to figure things out. Okay, we have about 10 minutes left. I'm going to try to get through as much as possible. Sometimes we will need our calculator. Sometimes we will not. Okay. For this, for the tangent of angle A, This part we will not need a calculator for. Well, it depends on how we're going to give our answer. Let's do this. The tangent of angle A means I need to do what? How did we say we were going to do this? How are we going to find the tangent of angle A?
Put it in the corner.
Okay, good. There's TOA. There's our little secret code. And I heard go stand in the corner at A. And now what?
Opposite and adjacent.
Opposite over adjacent. So what is my fraction? Now let's pretend I asked you to give me, so here's your answer. The tangent of angle A is 2/7. That's what it is. But what if I asked you to give me that as a decimal? How would you do that?
2 divided by 7.
2 divided by 7. Just take that fraction and do 2 divided by 7. Nothing fancy. You don't need any special buttons. Just 2 divided by 7, which gives me what?
0.285.
Right. I'm going to round this to the nearest hundredth, and I'm going to call it approximately 0.29 or 29 hundredths. So whether I ask for it as a simplified fraction or whether I ask for it as a decimal, all I did here to figure this out as a decimal on my calculator was I did 2 divided by 7, which equaled right there. Now I rounded that. On your actual test, I will tell you exactly what to round to or whether to leave it as a simplified fraction, whatever it is. Let's do the tangent of angle B. How do I do that? Stand in the corner at angle B and then do what? TOA, opposite over adjacent, which is what? 7/2. Now I'm just going to leave it there. Please don't try to turn it back into a mixed number yet. Don't go okay, let me just simplify it. It's 7/2. Now let's say I did ask you this as a decimal. How would you turn that into a decimal? 7 divided by 2. You probably wouldn't even need a calculator for this one. That's just 3.5. 3.5. That one you could calculate easily on your own. You could do the other one on your own as well. It just would be harder. Now, here's the thing that you probably can't do. You cannot do the inverse tangent on your own, and this is where we're going to need it. Here's how I know I need the inverse tangent. You're only going to use inverse, which is that -1, when you're looking for an angle. It's only going to give you angles there. It's only going to tell you the angles. And in this case, it's asking for the measure of angle A. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go stand in the corner at angle A. I'm going to erase some of this so I have some room to work here. Okay, we already did that. You should already have that. I'm going to go stand in the corner at angle A. Do we all agree that I don't know what angle A is, right? I don't know. It doesn't say in it. There's not enough information there to tell me. I know it's a right angle here, but I do know that the tangent of angle A, whatever angle A is, I don't know what it is, whatever it is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. Okay? We figured that out a minute ago. The tangent of angle A is 2/7. But now I can take that information to help me find the angle. How will I use that information to help me find the angle? We did it in our calculator a minute ago. The inverse tangent. So we're going to do the inverse tangent. And what number am I going to put in that parentheses? You don't need to use the decimal because the decimal is a rounded number. Here's how you're going to put a fraction in here. You want to put this in there. Now, most of you will be like, I don't know how to put that in there. Well, guess what? That fraction is the exact same thing as 2 divided by 7. So now, I know, right? Math just became kind of cool. So on your calculator, do inverse tangent. And in that parentheses, hold on one second. In that parentheses, you're going to type 2 divided by 7. Make sure you close that parentheses. Close it. And then hit enter. And tell me, to the nearest degree, the nearest whole number, how many degrees is this? 16. It's actually 15.945395, but we're just going to say, let's round this to a whole number. So this is approximately 16 degrees. Yes, sir?
There's a fraction button on the calculator.
It depends, yes, but actually sometimes that can be more difficult, so I just say do 2 divided by 7. So you can use a fraction if you want. I'm just saying if you wanted to enter it really quick, 2 divided by 7 means the same thing. Okay, now, based on that, there are 2 different ways that I could figure out angle B. Look at our triangle. What's one way I could figure out that we've done forever, that I could figure out?
So those are right angles, and then that one's 90, so 90 plus 16, and then you subtract that.
Right. add up 90 and 16, subtract it from 180, but we're not doing it that way. We're going to do it the other way because I want you to get the hang of doing this. So let's say that I want to find the measure of angle B. Well, then the tangent of angle B is equal to what?
7/2.
Okay, 7 over 2. So to find the angle, because I want to find an angle, I need to use the inverse tangent. But what number goes in that parentheses there?
7 divided.
And when I do that, what it will give me is angle B. So go into your calculator and do inverse tangent of 7 divided by 2. And what you will get is a number. And to the nearest degree, tell me what that number is.
74.
74. Isn't that clever how 74 plus 16 are the other 90 degrees? So we're using a calculator to calculate the remaining values here. Like we're figuring out everything that's missing from our triangle. Yes, sir?
How would you show it work on the homework?
So on ones like A and B there, you can definitely see what I did by how I used opposite over adjacent, right? But when you're talking about inverse tangent, there's no work to be shown. It's a calculator problem. I'm going to tell you right now that before calculators, like your grandparents, maybe even your great-grandparents, used something like called a slide rule, which is like this crazy-looking ruler that they would use to calculate this. If you're ever interested, look up a slide rule on Google and what it looks like. It's the most insane-looking ruler you've ever seen. But since calculators, our generation doesn't spend time on that because it is a very lengthy process. So it is, and you had to be basically like an engineer to kind of use these things. So you can still use them today, but let's face it, we all kind of know that calculators are doing their job. So let's go on to 7 here. Now, we have a couple things we can do. When it says complete the triangle, what they mean is give me all the angles, give me all the sides, everything. I want everything about it. I want the angles, I want the sides. So let's talk about where we could start. Any way you want. Okay, let's find the tangent of angle A. Now this might be a little bit of a problem, and I'll show you why. Here's angle A, opposite over adjacent. What's the problem I'm going to run into? I don't have the adjacent, so that's going to be trouble. So I am missing the legs. That's a problem when we're talking about tangent. Yes, sir?
What about C?
What about C? That's not a leg.
Oh.
But you guys actually know something. You know something. If I had given you this yesterday, you guys would have all given me the answer. Yes, bro, throw it out there.
It was, right?
What?
Oh, the Pythagorean theorem.
Pythagorean theorem. So we need that other leg to do what we want to do, so let's find it. Let's just call this A for a minute. So A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. So we get A squared plus 8 squared is equal to 17 squared. A squared plus 64 is equal to 17 squared, and 7 is what? Sorry? 289. 289, and we're going to subtract 64 from both sides, and we get 225. What is the square root of 225?
15.
Is 15. So that missing side there is 15. Now can we do the tangent?
Yes.
So notice we have all 3 sides, but what we are missing are the angles. So check it out. If I were to go and stand in the corner at angle A, I've got opposite. So here we go. Tangent of angle A is equal to the opposite, which is 8, over the adjacent, which is what? 15. Be very careful. 15 is the adjacent. Now, to find the angle, what do I need to do? The inverse tangent. So we're going to have to do this. The inverse tangent finds angles. And what number goes in the parentheses? 8 divided by 15. And when you do that, what you will get is angle A. So let's all do that. Inverse tangent of 8 divided by 15, close parentheses. And to the nearest degree, what is that degree?
28.
Which is approximately 28 degrees. Now, again, we know that a triangle has 180 degrees, and we could just do subtraction, but I'm going to avoid doing that because I want to show you this new way that we've done. The tangent of angle B. The tangent of angle B is the opposite over the adjacent, which is 15 over 8. If I want to find angle B, how would I do that?
The inverse.
Inverse. Remember, anytime you want an angle, use the inverse tangent, and what number goes in the parentheses? 15 divided by 8. And that will give me angle B. So inverse tangent, I hit the wrong button, inverse tangent of 15 divided by 8. To the nearest degree, what does that give you? 62. Isn't it interesting how 62 degrees plus 28 degrees will give me 90 degrees? It always does it. It knows. It knows every triangle in the world. It's an amazing device. Okay, so we have one more slide left on here, and I'm actually going to leave that slide for tomorrow, because here's what I'm going to do. Today's lesson, I'm not going to make the homework due tomorrow. I'm going to make it due the day after tomorrow, because we're going to finish this lesson tomorrow. Remind me tomorrow to give you back your quizzes. Please remind me tomorrow to give your quizzes. I don't have enough time to get them handed out to you today. We're going to do that last slide. I'm going to hand back your quizzes. So get started on your homework. We have done 7/8 of the stuff you need to do your homework. It's only one slide that actually you could do without me. You don't even need that. You don't even need me, but some of you might need the extra practice. If you don't have your calculator, find a way over to Walmart or Target, but you need that calculator, because you're not going to be able to do this. And I'm telling you right now, if you get another calculator, I'm not trying to say that it's not okay. I just won't be the one to help you, because if it's not these kind of calculators, I don't know how to use them. And I'm not going to spend my weekends trying to figure out how to use the calculator that you choose to. You went a different direction of me. I'm not going to spend my time figuring that out. I'm going to give you the instruction manual or send you to Google. Or you could just get the same one that we all have, and it will be nice and easy for you. That's what I would do.